A Boy Called Charlie Brown is very slow. I feel like the pacing of this is not great, but I did quite enjoy the film once it got underway. This is actually a feature Charlie Brown film. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, give or take. But honestly, if you cut out the bits that were dull and slow, they could have made a really solid, tightly packed, short film, and I think it would have been much better. But nevertheless, because I do love Charlie Brown, I didn't mind it too much. It was released in 1969, directed by Bill Melendez and written by Charles M. Schulz, of course. And in this particular cartoon, we have Peter Robbins voicing Charlie Brown. And we have a really great cast of characters. Pretty much all of the iconic Charlie Brown characters are in this, which is definitely something that I like. But honestly, it's really slow. It starts off with Charlie Brown lamenting the fact that he never wins any baseball games, which is a common theme with Charlie Brown. And then he begins to feel like he always fails at everything. And he has a conversation with Lucy, who says he needs to find an emotional outlet. And eventually, I'd say about halfway into it, I didn't time it, but it took a very long time to get to the point. Charlie Brown decides to volunteer to be in the spelling bee. And he says that he will do this and at least get a little way into it just to show that he's not a complete failure. And what follows is Charlie Brown trying to learn the various spelling rules, which gives us a pretty fun song about kind of some of the more common spelling rules, which as a writer I loved. I lapped that up completely. And it also shows how complex the English language is. A lot of people always say that actually English is a really difficult language to learn for speakers as a second language or third language or whatever. And that's obviously hard to believe when you're a native speaker. But when you think about all of the spelling rules, yeah, I can completely see why that would be the case. And we do have some really fun songs in this. The scenes that are done with the spelling bee, particularly the bit where we just had like 7 or 8 heads on the screen. And whenever a child got something wrong, the head would just kind of pop away. And it was very effectively done. Some of the songs I felt like had some pretty boring animation. It was kind of more stylized and didn't really appeal to me very much. And it kind of took me out of the main narrative. And that's something that I didn't appreciate. And it is very, very slow. There's a lot of padding in this, and it takes a very long time to get anywhere. Again, because I like Charlie Brown, I like the animation style for the most part. It was okay. I was happy to watch this. But had this been the first Charlie Brown film I'd seen, well, I wouldn't be rushing to watch anymore. I'll be perfectly honest. But nevertheless, I did enjoy it. I just didn't love it. I didn't completely adore it. There's a lot that could be removed from this, things that I personally didn't like at least, and it would have been tighter, neater, much more enjoyable. But nevertheless, if you're a Charlie Brown fan, A Boy Named Charlie Brown is definitely worth watching. There are certainly bits in it that are really good, which make up for the bits that are not so good. And I think it's semi-predictable, but not completely. I didn't predict the outcome of the spelling bee, so that worked for me. And ultimately, I liked it. It may not be my favourite Charlie Brown cartoon, but it's certainly not terrible, and one that I'd say is worth a watch.